Well, new overnight, we are learning more about new efforts to make public transit in Charlotte safer. This comes after a couple of high-profile attacks on the light rail last year.
Joining us this morning here on WCNC Plus, the chair of the City Council's Safety Committee, Dante Anderson. Council member, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So some of these changes were discussed at last night's committee meeting. You chaired that committee. And we got to say, for context here, violent crime on transit is extremely rare. However, that said, how do you tackle a problem that doesn't happen very frequently, but when it does is very high profile?
Yes, and we have to be ready for everything that occurs. You're absolutely right. It is rare. However, when it occurs, Charlotte and CATS wants to be poised to address the issue. And so last night we had our interim CEO, Brett Cagle, come in and review our integrated safety plan for CATS. And when Administrator Molinaro visited our city just several weeks back, I was a part of that team that toured CATS with him. We heard his feedback on safety and other measures as it relates to public transportation. And the good news is our safety plan has received a thumbs up from the federal administration. There are some areas that we need to continue to improve on, largely related to how we document our processes and how we document events. But our overall safety charge and investment and posture into safety has received a thumbs up for the federal level.
Now, of course, that is great news. A number of people will celebrate that. But when it comes to safety, a lot of it comes down to perception, right? If there's more visible security, if there's improved communication, it's really how people perceive their experience with being safe on public transit.
1000%. And I always say if an issue occurs with you, then crime is up 100% because it's crime is very personal. And so what we need to assure is that whenever our residents or visitors get on the trains or get on the bus or they're walking around trying to enjoy our city, that every time they have an experience that is enjoyable and without any occurrence is a wonderful business case to come back and do the same thing over and over again. So that's what we're focused on, is making sure that every experience is safe. And so we can, over time, erode this perception of unsafety or lack of safety in our city.
Speaking of safety, you all talked about red light cameras last night. Now, for history, the city got rid of them 20 years ago after a lawsuit. Now you're looking at bringing them back. Some studies show that they are really effective in making streets safer. It's something that city leaders like yourself have been grappling with now for several years.
Absolutely. And really, the punchline on this is the General Assembly passed legislation years ago that made red light cameras effectively a cost center for all municipalities who executed that program, because 90%, a very hard percentage of those proceeds had to go to the public school systems locally. And so what has happened is that the North Carolina Supreme Court has recently made a judgment that will allow for the operational costs to be covered. So what we introduced yesterday in committee is the conversation around what has happened in recent years and looking at data. And now, as we proceed with conversations over the next month or so, we'll look at what is possible here in the Charlotte area. How could it be paid for? Who has the appetite to execute it? And most importantly, will it actually present safety outcomes for us, or should we execute those funds in other tactics that will produce higher safety outcomes? And so that's the conversation we're having right now.
We have about a minute left. Let's talk about I-77. Of course, billions of dollars on the line. We're talking about commutes that many people are just frustrated with, daily accidents, but also historic neighborhoods that have been pushed to the side before. This is not the first time they've been here, and they say they don't want to see this happen again. DOT gave you the updates last night. They say they're willing to make some more changes. Does that go far enough?
Well, I think it's a step in the right direction. So we don't want to see the harm or displacement in those neighborhoods that have historically been affected by interchange expansions or interchange projects. So what we heard last night is there is a reduction of impact in several historical neighborhoods along the corridor. That's a step in the right direction. But we are so far from being done. There is so much more community engagement. There's so much more input. There's so much more collaboration that has to be done with the North Carolina Department of Transportation and our residents here in Charlotte. And so we, the council, will be a part of that conversation. But I just encourage residents to continue to advocate and show up and make an impact on the actual designs that are occurring.
Got to make it quick, but how confident are you there's going to be a compromise here between the state DOT and the city of Charlotte and commuters and neighbors?
Well, I have to be hopeful that there's a compromise, right? Because we see that congestion is an issue, Vision Zero is an issue, but displacement and harm is an issue as well. So those are the issues that are on the table, and that's how we have to make progress addressing those specific areas.
All right, Dante Anderson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.